You're watching WBZ TV Boston.
You're watching WBZ TV Boston. Next on News 4 New England.
A skydiving plane crashes in Rhode Island, killing 5 people. We'll have the latest on what went wrong. Police in Stoneham trying to find out who vandalized this field, which was being prepared for a special memorial. And Mother Teresa is remembered in India and around the world. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Gary LaPierre. Barry joins me with the forecast in a couple of minutes. We have a breaking story topping our news at noon. The United States Coast Guard has been called to help in a ferry disaster off the coast of Haiti. As many as 400 people are missing and feared drowned after this overloaded boat sank off the coast of the capital city of Port-au-Prince. Haiti's Coast Guard says at least 700 people were on board when the boat went down at dawn. Radio reports from the Caribbean islands say about 60 people were able to swim to shore. But the Haitian and U.S. Coast Guard vessels are still looking for other survivors. We will have the latest information coming up tonight on News 4, beginning at 5 o'clock. Well, I have a search for some answers today in Rhode Island. The federal investigators are examining the wreckage of a skydiving plane that crashed this weekend in Smithfield, Rhode Island. 5 of the 6 people on board died, among them a young woman on her first skydiving jump. Nicole Rudkowski's boyfriend paid for the dive as a present. The 21-year-old woman's father tried to talk her out of jumping. He decided to watch.
We waved to us as the plane was taking off. And we looked as it going up, and then, you know, I saw that engine quit and thing coming down. And
2 other skydivers and the pilot also died in the crash. News 4's Dan Ray joins us live from Smithfield. Dan.
Gary, investigators say there is no easy answer to this tragedy. Why a small plane loaded with 6 passengers, a pilot, and 5 skydivers would stall and then crash to the ground. Flowers mark the spot where the Cessna 182 slammed to the ground Saturday afternoon. The Boston Providence Skydiving Center operates out of a small trailer here at the North Central Rhode Island Airport. As of now, National Transportation Safety Board investigators say there is no obvious mechanical failure.
Right now, the wreckage is not helping me a whole lot, finding where the loss of power came from and what happened afterwards.
So from a mechanical point of view, the wreckage is not giving up much information.
That's correct. I'm not finding a whole lot that's going to help me there.
Would that lead you towards the direction that perhaps the thing may have been unbalanced, overburdened?
No, not necessarily. And you got to look at the past history of this airplane. The airplane had flown with this number of passengers before.
In fact, the airplane had flown 9 times, 8 previous times that day. On the 9th trip down the runway here at the North Smithfield Central Rhode Island, North Central Rhode Island Airport, it got up, eyewitnesses say, to about 200 or 300 feet. It then stalled and went into a nosedive. Now, there was videotape rolling. Apparently, at least some family members or one of the skydivers were shooting a videotape, and they have captured the accident on tape. That will be reviewed by the NTSB investigators. And also, one of the skydivers actually had a small camera in his helmet, and investigators hope that that may give them a second view of this tragic accident. We'll stay on the story throughout the day. Dan Ray in Rhode Island. Back to you, Gary.
All right, Danny, thank you. In Stoneham today, an act of vandalism at a field that was going to be the site of a special commemoration this month. News 4's Charlie Austin is live in Stoneham right now where the moving Vietnam Memorial was to go on display. Charlie.
Well, I'm told, Gary, that memorial will still go on display right here, in spite of what some vandal tried to do. They put in some new posts, some new topsoil, and some seed in this area. For the past 6 months, Vietnam veterans and citizens in Stoneham have been working very hard to turn this old practice field into a fitting site for a memorial for a moving Vietnam wall. But last night, someone tried to destroy this site. As members of the Vietnam Veterans Moving Memorial looked at the damage, they talked about being angry and frustrated that someone deliberately tried to destroy the memorial grounds.
Being a Vietnam vet, an ex-Marine, my heart just let go. I just couldn't believe it. I just can't believe the no respect. No respect.
The memorial wall, like the one shown here in Lowell 4 years ago, is scheduled to go on display at the Stoneham High School in 2 weeks. It is a one-half-size replica of the one in Washington. But Sunday night, despite the log barriers and posts, someone drove circles around the field, ripping up the sod and a sprinkler in the process. Stoneham police say the driver of that vehicle was very fortunate indeed, because if he had hit one of these live electrical sites at the base of the memorial, this would have been a different story.
I was running with quite emotions. You know, I wanted to get a hold of the guy and things of this sort. But I've learned to calm down, take a step backward. These hoodlums, or whatever you want to call them, is not going to hold this committee up. The wall will be here.
To that end, they have put in some fresh loam and some new grass seed right here where all of those tire marks were in. They hope the seed will take root and come up within the next 2 weeks when the memorial is supposed to be here. Again, we know that they have announced a $1,500 cash reward for anyone with information leading to the person responsible for this vandalous act here in Stoneham. Charles Austin, News 4 New England. Now back to you, Gary.
Charlie, thank you. Funeral services are being finalized this noon for Mother Teresa. The Nobel Prize winner will be laid to rest on Saturday in what India says will be a state funeral. Her body now lies in state in Calcutta. The mourners will get to say their goodbyes in a special service at a 10,000-seat stadium. The funeral will be in sharp contrast to the way that Mother Teresa led her amazing life. She was the symbol of self-sacrifice, living and working among the poor for several decades. New Englanders are paying their respects to Mother Teresa. Yesterday in New Bedford, the mourners prayed with the nuns from Mother Teresa's Missionaries of Charity. Many felt a special bond with her since Mother Teresa's visit to this area back in 1995. The woman, who many thought of as a saint on earth, was also remembered yesterday at St. Ignatius Church in Newton. Cardinal Law will celebrate a special Mass in memory of Mother Teresa this coming Friday night at 8 o'clock. It's going to be held at Our Lady Help of Christians Church in Newton. A royal tribute offered to Princess Diana after her death. Buckingham Palace says it considered restoring the title of Her Royal Highness after Diana's funeral, but Diana's family says the princess would not have wanted it that way. Meantime, the sole survivor to that deadly crash has regained consciousness. News 4's Lee Cowan has late developments now from London.
It was only 48 hours ago that the Earl Spencer brought applause from a nation by criticizing the media in his funeral tribute to his lost sister.
That of all the ironies about Diana, perhaps the greatest was this. A girl given the name of the ancient goddess of hunting was, in the end, the most hunted person of the modern age.
Already, those words have become a catalyst for change, or at least a pledge to change. Newspaper editors all around London this morning are vowing restraint in their future coverage of Prince William and Harry, something Prince Charles begged for late yesterday. One paper, The Independent, says it has had enough, and on the front page, vowed to never publish pictures of the young princes, William and Harry, in private situations again, saying, a story is over. Let the sequel be written another way. Meanwhile, the mourning continues. More people than ever flock to Kensington Palace to add to the growing mountain of flowers. Time will heal, it seems, but not yet.
I think it still will be for the rest of the week. I think people will just come in hundreds and thousands just to basically to pay their respects, to show that we cared, and still do.
The Princess's Memorial Fund is the greatest benefactor of the continued outpouring here, receiving more than 300 calls an hour, with donations ranging from just a few cents all the way up to $4 million.
Goodbye, England's rose. May you ever grow in our hearts.
And Elton John's rewritten tribute to the Princess of Wales is due in stores in less than a week now. Most analysts predict it will become the biggest-selling single of all time. Meanwhile, in Paris, the lone survivor of that deadly crash, the bodyguard, Trevor Rees-Jones, is now conscious again after extensive surgery to repair facial injuries. Investigators there are very anxious to talk with him to find out what happened in that tunnel that night, but his family says that could still be weeks away. Lee Cowan, CBS News, London.
Checking some other stories, it is back to work today for President Clinton after his 3-week vacation on Martha's Vineyard. First order of business, focusing on his plan for education standards and testing. The president is visiting a Maryland elementary school this morning to push for his program for voluntary grade school testing in math and in reading. Mr. Clinton, the First Lady, and Chelsea left Martha's Vineyard yesterday. It was a special trip. It's the last time the president will spend with his daughter, Chelsea, before she begins classes at Stanford University. and the two lead lawyers representing Paula Jones in her sexual harassment suit against the president today asked for permission to withdraw from the case. They cited fundamental differences with Ms. Jones. And the Clinton administration is encouraging William Weld to keep up his public fight to become the ambassador to Mexico. The former Massachusetts governor went on national television yesterday, criticized Senate Foreign Relations Committee Chairman Jesse Helms for not scheduling the hearing on that nomination. Bill Weld says a hearing would clear up any questions about his record on drugs.
If we have a fair hearing, then let both sides present their evidence. And I'm not saying anybody has to vote for me after a hearing. All I'm saying is that you'd be very hard-pressed if you look back in the precedents of the United States Senate to find a case where a presidential nominee for ambassador was denied a hearing. It's just not the American way.
Today, presidential spokesman Mike McCurry says now that Congress is back in session, this is the right time for Bill Weld to make his case public. All right, coming up next on News 4 at noontime, a fire rips through an historic building in New Bedford. You may think you've got commuting headaches. We'll show you what they're going through in one major city today. And Boston will celebrate the millennium with the return of the tall ships. We'll be back.
News 4 New England continues.
Welcome back. A piece of history goes up in flames in New Bedford. This blaze ripped through the Corson building early this morning. The structure dates back to the 1870s. Stands right across the street from the Whaling Museum of New Bedford. The building houses, in fact, the Moby Dick gift shop. Two firefighters suffered some minor injuries battling the flames. Still no word on the cause. Officials say it's too early to know whether that building can be saved in any fashion. A Martha's Vineyard man remains hospitalized this noon after being struck by a hit-and-run driver over the weekend. 26-year-old was hit while crossing Boylston Street in Boston early Sunday morning. Witnesses say that he was thrown 40 feet. Police are looking for a four-door black Audi with extensive front-end damage. If you have any information, you are urged to call the Crime Stoppers tip line, and their number is 1-800-494-TIPS. Just when things were starting to get back to normal aboard the Russian space station Mir, another problem. Mir's main computer sent out an alarm and shut itself down again this morning. When the computer shut down, the crew responded by turning off most of the systems on board to economize on the power. It's not clear what caused the glitch. The crew has restarted the computer in hopes of finding out what caused it to shut down in the first place. Plenty of troubles for the commuters in the San Francisco Bay Area. Today, the rapid transit workers went on strike, leaving 275,000 commuters scrambling for an alternative way to work. A lot of people chose their cars while others raced to get buses and ferries. Now it's being called the Tall Ships Race of the Century. Sail Boston 2000. The tall ships are set to return to Boston to celebrate the millennium. The graceful and sleek fleet of tall ships last visited Boston in 1992. About 7 million people visited the city and pumped $500 million into the local economy. Local officials hoping for a repeat performance when the tall ships return for a 6-day visit in the year 2000.
I think it was one of the great events that this city and this state ever hosted. I think for those of us who remember that day, it was a beautiful summer day, and the millions of people who came into the city without incident. It was just one of those great events for Boston and a great event for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Tall ships, by the way, will leave from England on April 16th, 2000. They'll stop in Italy, Spain, and Bermuda before arriving in Boston in mid-July. Can't wait. All right.
Neither can I. That should be one spectacle.
Absolutely.
Huh? Incredible.
The weather is rather incredible, too,
not a spectacle.
Not nice.
We're going to try to get a little sunshine out for us tomorrow, but if we don't get it tomorrow, it's likely we won't have it the rest of the week.
All right.
There you go.
We'll be back with all the details right after this. Stick around.
Barry Burbank with weather. News 4 New England.
Good afternoon, everybody. Kind of a cloudy day, unlike yesterday when it was sunny for a good part of the time. Temperatures getting a bit above 80. Right now it's only 65 with a light northerly wind, pressure holding about steady. And we find a few little breaks of sunshine over parts of the Cape right now, but that won't last. The pollen count is moderate, about 29 grains per cubic meter, and that's mostly ragweed. 60s around, sunniest skies across the northern mountains and extending now close to the Berkshires. Here's what we have. It's a powerful hurricane, as you can see right there. It's moving slowly to the north. It's in reference to the East Coast. You can see it's quite a ways off, and it's not ever going to threaten the United States. Fortunately, we'll keep our fingers crossed, but it looks like that's a storm which will stay at sea. Meantime, for us, we have this front which sort of dawdled through here overnight, which caused some heavier showers this morning over northeastern Massachusetts. We still have a fairly humid air here in southern New England, but the dryer is coming to the rescue to the north as high pressure builds to our north, but it's that same high which is supplying the sunshine well off to the north is going to continue to churn some moisture in along the coast. So therefore, we still have a few spotty showers around, tiny little showers, sprinkles, that sort of thing, nothing really important for this afternoon. But we take a closer look at this powerful hurricane and its Erica, and as of 11 o'clock this morning, it is plotted at about the following: 22.7 north, 62.9 west. Here's San Juan, there's Bermuda up there. So the storm is moving slowly to the north, and with the top winds of 120 miles an hour, it should move like this, then curve out, and should spare Bermuda. A close-up shot, a visual shot of this, we'll be able to see it. Look at that eye, well-defined eye. This is quite a storm indeed, but we don't have to worry about it. Around here, we just have the cloudy skies for the afternoon, a few spotty sprinkles of light showers around. It'll be rather humid here down in southeastern New England, but partly sunny well off to the west and north, and just a few breaks possible down in the Cape, 73 there, but otherwise, it'll be about 65 along the coast to near 70 in some of the interior locations. For tonight, cloudy and damp, and drizzly, perhaps some areas of fog around too, and on the muggy side. And drier air, though, coming in off to the north of us. The moon will be coming out back in here, and that drier air will be heading its way down towards the coast too. Looking at low temperatures, low 60s, 50s off to the north and west. Let's plan ahead and see how tomorrow looks. Well, it appears to me that we are in for a better chance of some sunshine breaking through the cloud cover near the coast, although it might start on the murky side. The sun should come out, and hopefully we'll see a bit of it tomorrow, because if we don't see it tomorrow, it is unlikely we'll see much of it at all for the rest of the week, as it's fairly cloudy on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. The humidity returns. There will be some showers coming back late Wednesday, and there could really be some heavy-duty downpours here late Thursday into Friday.
What we're saying here, folks, is Ed picked the wrong week for vacation.
That's the bottom line.
Right, Barry, thank you very much. All right, in business news today, major shakeup in the computer online service business. America Online taking over CompuServe. It's the biggest online competitor. It's all part of a rather complicated deal. WorldCom is actually buying CompuServe, but then plans to trade to consumer subscribers to America Online. In return, WorldCom will get America Online's division, which provides internet access for large business customers. If you understood that, good. Coming up next on News 4 at noontime, Martha Stewart talks about her new show when we come back. I'm sure you know Martha Stewart is one of America's most successful businesswomen. Her books, her magazines, her Emmy Award-winning weekly television show have earned her millions of fans. Well, starting today, Martha will be appearing right here at WBZ TV every weekday afternoon. The new show will be called Martha Stewart Living Weekdays. Stewart will offer tips on every kind of domestic and lifestyle activity that you can think of. And many of the segments will be geared toward people who are just looking for some basic knowledge. For example, she'll teach you how to roast a chicken in a segment called Cooking 101.
About a half a teaspoon of salt. You know, there's no home economics anymore. There's no cooking classes at most schools. We're sort of rejuvenating that kind of knowledge that makes everyday living a little bit better, a little bit more enjoyable, and a little bit more bearable.
Stewart says she hopes her show will fill a void on daytime television.
We may be a little tired of talk, we may be a little tired of soap operas, but to have a little bit, have someone who's really interested in the homemaking arts and the living arts is something that I think people really respond to.
And when it comes to taking care of her own home life, what chores make Martha happy?
I love to vacuum. I love to take care of my pets. I just got a new puppy, and he's darling, and now I have 4 dogs. Just walking those, wrangling those 4 dogs around is pretty difficult. But I love to bake. I love to do all those things.
Martha Stewart Living can be seen weekdays at 3 o'clock. All right, quick look at sports here. Bring on Bill Parcells and those Jets. The Patriots are now looking ahead to facing their former coach after posting another big win yesterday. Drew Bledsoe threw 4 touchdown passes as he led the Pats to a 31-6 victory over the Colts. Defense did its part, getting the Colts quarterback Jim Harbaugh 5 times. Now the Pats will turn their attention to what will be one of the biggest games of the season. Parcells' Jets come to Foxborough next Sunday. The Jets, by the way, lost to Buffalo yesterday. All right, coming up tonight on News 4, beginning at 5 o'clock. We know that brushing and flossing can help keep your teeth and gums healthy, but there's some new research that shows it can also prevent other diseases. Our health reporter, Lawrence Scott, will explain. 4 on the web today. Suzanne Bates will show you how the internet can help you keep tabs on your kids in school. And News 4's Ted Wayman is back from Bosnia, where he spent several days on the front lines with troops from New England. It's all coming up tonight on News 4, beginning at 5. All right, the weather in a word is...
gloomy this afternoon. Hope for a little sun tomorrow.
All right, for Barry Burbank, I'm Gary LaPierre. I hope you have a great rest of the day.
Thanks for watching News 4 New England, winner of the 1997 Associated Press Award for the best newscast of the year.